Everyone, I'm Charvi. I'm founder at Ponta and full-time employee working as financial analyst in US-based mortgage company. And I'm working in India, so as it is US-based, so I'm working in night shift. And because I'm working in night shift, that's why I'm having plenty of time to put for my startup. So without wasting much time, I would like to introduce you all with my startup. So I have launched an application, mobile application named as Pont App. So through this application, we are digitalizing the appointment system. How we are doing it? We are targeting various industries. Various industries, I mean, like we are targeting hospitals, salons, luxurious and premium apparel stores, jewelry stores, so that people can take online appointment before going out of their homes. So how this idea came to my mind? This idea came to my mind last year itself when the COVID situation was happening in our country, in all our in country. So I find this thing that there should be a appointment system. No one should go out before like unnecessarily. They should take appointment so that for the concern of the safety for vendors and for ourselves also. Next slide, please. Yeah, so these are some of the reviews which I have put from the Google, which I have taken out Google that people are not happy because of the so much of crowd in the store. So these are just general reviews. I got it. Next slide, please. So yeah, the problem is like there are so much crowd at once at the store. So appointment system is not a new concept, but the general idea is with appointment shopping, merchants have much better control over how many people should be there at once in the store. And after they are done with their shopping, what they have touched and what needs to be clean to ensure safety for all and everyone. So this is the first problem, that crowd, so much crowd at the store. Next slide, please. Next is rush hour rules. So basically, if there is so much crowd at the store, so sales associate need to attend everyone, and because of that, they are missing on the white glove experience. They are not providing one-on-one experience or personalized experience, because of which they are missing on customer loyalty as well. The customers are not going to come back if they are not treated the way they want to get it. Next slide, please. So they are the same thing. It is saying that they are suffering from the customer loyalty. They are not getting personal experience. That's why most probably there are chances that customer is not going to come back to the store because of the experience they had earlier. Next slide, please. So they can give attention to everyone, each and every customer, how through Pontap. Pontap, they can take appointment. If I'm taking appointment, vendors know well in advance, like who is going to come at the store or hospital or salon, and they can give one-on-one session, one-on-one personalized experience, which will help them to create brand loyalty, customer retention, and most important, safety and security. Next slide, please. So yeah, so we have a system, proper system, just like Zomato is having. They are having one application. The same way we are having mobile application through which anyone can take appointment. They just download the application from Play Store, and they can easily book the appointment. And the way the moment the appointment is booked, it will trigger a notification to vendor. We have provided a web application. Just like Zomato is having a web application, we have created our own web application on which they are going to, like, notification is going to come that appointment has been taken by so and so person at so and so time. So
So
now they are
Charlie, stop for a
yeah,
moment.
yeah.
Who are you selling to? Who is your customer? Is it the store that is your customer? Is it the consumer that is your customer?
So basically, we are working as intermediary. Consumers, we people are also a customer of my application, and vendors. From where I'm generating revenue, I'm generating revenue from both the ways. How? If I'm taking appointment for any salon or apparel store, I need not to pay anything. If I have taken appointment and I am visiting the store, then the vendor of the store has to pay me some amount, because I have provided them a system through which appointment has been taken. So they have to provide me some amount, which is like specifically we have done a contract. But for the hospital, if I'm taking an appointment for any doctor, so I have to prepay it. I have to give the consultancy fee in advance, and I'm going to charge. Right now, I am charging 7% per appointment from consumer and 7% from doctor also. So that's how I am generating the revenue.
Okay,
I
so
hope I
there are
have, yeah.
several issues. there are several issues that you need to think about. First and foremost, you started this conversation by saying every segment is applicable to your business, whether it's hospitals to stores to blah and blah and blah. I think that's the wrong way to think about it, because every single segment has a very different dynamic and very different usage model. You know, the workflow of each industry is different. A hospital operates very differently. You know, a private doctor's office operates differently, a retail store operates differently, a mall operates differently. And by saying that you are going to, you know, have stores take appointments, it completely changes their entire workflow. And people don't change behavior like that easily. That means that if you say that, oh, I'm going to help you create an appointment to a consumer at a store, and the store is going to be empty at the time, it's going to be, you have a white glove experience, well, then on the store side, you need commitment that the store is going to be empty at the time and not going to be full. How does the store manage that? It's not manageable. So you are proposing something that I think is not necessarily achievable in any reasonable way, unless you get buy-in from the store or from wherever, whatever your B2B customer is, to make that kind of change and offer that to their customers. So if you are a kind of like a super app that wants to cater to all consumers and all businesses, I don't think that necessarily works unless you can get the buy-in from the businesses to organize themselves to offer this kind of service. Now, COVID, of course, is a factor that has created a need for, you know, social distancing. So people are more interested in facilitating a socially distanced experience, but I would validate who is willing to do that with you and which segments are willing to do that with you. Hospital, if you were trying to go and sell to hospitals and manage a hospital experience, that is an enterprise software business almost. And that's a very different business from being a super app where you're kind of like a marketplace for appointments and so on. So again, there is an existential issue on what is your business. Ben, I'll let you weigh in.
Yeah.
Hang on.
Well, let me start by saying, you know, I think that, well, I agree with a lot of what was just said, and I'll tell you some other thoughts. I do think you did a good job on the deck. I thought you did a good job presenting. You know, you basically hit the who, the what, you know, you spelled it out pretty clearly. I think there's probably a little more specificity. Actually, because you're app-based, I generally tend to encourage my founders to do a demo really quickly. You know, you said who you were, you said what you were doing. That would have been the perfect chance to say, let me show you an example. Here's Bob. Bob wants to, you know, get an appointment to buy groceries, followed by an appointment to pick up some stuff at the pharmacy, whatever. The main thought I had along the way, though, is it's a pretty crowded space when you're talking about organizations that need people to make an appointment. As an example, you know, like you talked about salons, you talked about like whether there's the people that are doing all this for yoga studios, or I remember Mike Maples funded a company that was doing this for dental offices where they went with a one vertical approach. Now, interestingly, if I remember correctly, the company that was doing this for dental offices did okay with the appointment making, but it was never going to be a big business. But then they expanded the offering within the dental offices and they were able to make a successful run at it. But I know there are a lot of, the problem is if you're a generalist offering, I would agree with the point that getting people to change behavior on either side is always extremely difficult. And while probably during COVID, you would have been spot on because, you know, if it's there, if it is there like it is here, you know, stores were open, but they would limit the store to 6 people at a time. And so your app would have worked a lot. But effectively, everybody's back out now, at least around here. And, you know, it's funny how quickly, I've said this ever since COVID began, everything reverts to where it was before. Like, you know, everybody's shaking hands again now. I keep trying to fist bump and they're like out there with their hand. And I was like, you know, come on, man. That's, you know, I thought we learned. But it is amazing. People's capacity to forget is huge. And I think that, you know, people's behaviors will go back to what their behaviors were before. And so I think that creates a challenge for you. But I do think finding a vertical to focus on because there's so many people doing this for so many different verticals, what might be an option is to find a vertical that is not yet served, that already works on appointments, and digitizing that system for them, and then seeing ways to expand within that vertical so you get more penetration and more value in one vertical by offering them multiple things versus trying to be all things to all people appointment wise, which I can see in a parallel world that doesn't exist right now how this could be beneficial to everybody. It's just that, to the point that was made earlier, you have to change their behavior. You are betting on the hardest thing to bet on, which is to get people just to change the way they live their lives, and the merchants as well, because all of a sudden, instead of just waiting for people to come in, I've got to be queued up. Now, the one idea I did have, I'll make this the last point, is I wonder if there's a super concierge level of service you could provide, where since you're allowing people to make appointments, you actually go all the way to the other extreme and focus on sort of an ultra affluent, or let's call it aspiringly affluent person, where maybe it's not just the appointment, it's maybe there's an aided journey once you get there, where, like if you think of high-end department stores as an example, particularly in Europe, they have personal shoppers, right? So you go in, you have an appointment with a personal shopper, and they take you around and show you the things they think. Actually, they bring the things to you. I took my daughter for her birthday to Paris, and we went to one of the fancy stores, and she didn't get to buy anything. Unfortunately for her, she thought she could. I was like, oh, no, no. But the personal shopper brought her all the things and showed her all the stuff. So perhaps there's a model like that where you disconnect yourself from the store. All of a sudden, you make the appointment with a personal shopper that meets you at the store. Now, in fairness, I'm saying something that if you were pitching it to me, I would say, wow, there's a lot of friction in that. There's a lot of moving parts. But maybe you can TaskRabbit style marketplace it off on the other end. I have seen businesses where people wanted to sort of empower, like let's say I think I'm just a highly stylish man and I could help other men shop better, and I'm not working a lot right now. Maybe I would be the person that would be more than happy to make that appointment to take you through the store. Or I'm a foodie and I could, we had a friend, enough. But I think you did a good job on the pitch. I think the deck is pretty well architected. But you've got to, it's tough to be in a competitive.
Charvi, do some competitive research. There is, we have seen actually this kind of businesses come through quite a lot. We've done some case studies as well. If you go check on the website, there are lots of free case studies as well of this appointment setting kind of businesses in different verticals. So this exists. There are various different businesses that are catering to different verticals. You are in India, do it specific to India, who's doing what in India, and then see where the gap is, and if that gap appeals to you, and then you will learn how to do this business. This business, actually, we know how to build these businesses. You don't need to do it as a super app, but you do need to find the gap, because there are lots of those out there. The reason we know how to do these businesses is because a lot of people have done it. So I think you need to frame your business differently, and that is going to require a lot more competitive analysis. And then if you decide that you want to frame this completely differently, as Ben is pointing you to these other concepts and constructs like the personal shopper at stores, or, heritage walks. I see, when we travel, often we hire guides to give us heritage walks, or, food walks, these kinds of things. That's an appointment business. So there are ways to apply your appointment concept, but you have to apply it to something that's where you can actually build a business.
I want to add a small point over here. May I?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for your great feedback. But I wanted to say one thing, the idea behind this, I wanted to give only single platform for all the industries, so that I need not to have so many apps, or I need not to go to different websites, or to call them, Google their number and to call them to make appointments. So that's why this idea came, that, to have all the industries on single app, just like Urban Clap is having it, all the industries on a single application. Apart from that, store, I don't mean store like Zara stores or H&M stores. I am here saying, like, in India, as I am in India. So in India, we are talking about the designers, where, as you are saying, personal shoppers, that's what I am doing over here. I am listing only the designer stores where, one person needs to be attended. So
So then focus on that. Focus on personal shoppers at designer stores and just, see if there is a competitor or competitors in that space and go into that. The attempt to become like the super app for all industries is a very expensive proposition. And it's not clear that that's going to necessarily work. So you have to kind of figure out a manageable piece that you can start with and start being viable with. So if designer personal shopper is your thing, that actually works. For me, that works.